Hi, Karl de Leeuw here. Climate change, practical steps. For world change on any topic, we need to believe and understand that the butterfly effect is powerful. We are all made up of minute vibrating strings and all interconnected. Believe that your actions can make a difference. So just do it, and quick. We are amazing as humans in fixing things. Yes, we are slow at getting there, and using an analogy, it has taken us about 40 years to turn the oil tanker around. But now that the oil tanker is going 180 degrees in a different direction, we can fix climate change 100%, but it will take 20 to 30 years. As an example of how good we are at fixing things, take CFCs in refrigeration and in aerosol sprays. I was of school age in South Africa in the 1960s and 70s, and during that time we discovered that CFCs were destroying the ozone layer. We then fixed the issue, but it took time, and the ozone layer is still repairing itself. The Northern Hemisphere ozone layer will be fixed by 2030, but for some reason, the Southern Hemisphere ozone layer will take up to 2060 to be fixed. So how are we going to do it? Governments must set out the correct policies. I use the UK as an example in this talk. The big oil and gas companies must make amends for them destroying our earth, and they have the money to do so. And the great thing is that it's a win-win for all. Next are the 7 most important items that governments and oil and gas companies can do. The number 1 item by government policies and the big oil companies. Prevention is better than cure. Insulating properties properly and retaining ventilation is the number 1 priority, and regulation must be set by the government. But why can oil and gas companies not have leaseback options? So the oil and gas companies give householders a loan that is then paid back over, say, 7 years to allow funding to retrofit insulation. If one could reduce your power and heating usage by 1/3, then this is a no-brainer. Just imagine now for 1 second that we reduce power and heating usage by 1/3, what we can do for our planet Gaia. The number 2 item government policies and big oil companies can do is a mostly forgotten one. It can be rolled out worldwide but needs big money. Geothermal heat pumps. However, not where each household must drill a hole or coil a pipe in their back garden. Geothermal must be carried out by the big oil companies at scale, because you need to look at it over a 50-year payback period, as the initial investment is substantial. So this is how you do it. Anywhere in the world, there is heat under the earth. Some countries like Iceland have more, but any country can pull heat from underneath the earth. Oil companies are good at drilling. They could drill a 4-kilometer hole and put a hose-type pipe down the hole filled with a suitable liquid. The earth's heat then heats up the liquid in the pipe. A heat exchanger that is like a mini power plant then takes this heat from the liquid and turns it into hot water at about 30 degrees Celsius that is then fed to houses via insulated pipes and called district heating. 30 degrees Celsius is just enough for underfloor heating in homes. And this is the best kind of heating because you don't need any wall radiators, as the heat rises upwards from the floor nice and gently. Each house then uses green energy from the grid for its own power needs. Currently, the thought process is to replace gas boilers with hydrogen boilers in the UK. There are two problems here. The first is that green hydrogen is currently about twice the price of other green energy. And secondly, it will be seen in the future as archaic to have hydrogen boiler with a flame similar to gas boilers. The hydrogen boiler also produces a gas called NOx, and that is bad news. Heat exchangers do not give you the same performance as geothermal. To recap, we have free heat under the earth. Once a hole is drilled, huge district heating geothermal pumps can pull the heat out and feed it to homes at roughly 30 degrees Celsius. So easy, but only a limited number of companies are doing it. Why? The number 3 item by government policies and big oil companies: solar. Even before the 2021 oil and gas increase in prices, solar became cheaper than oil and gas, and this means it's tickets for oil and gas. Again, oil and gas companies are best placed to provide this, as they have large amounts of cash and need to replace their source of revenue. Solar on houses is good, but not as efficient as doing it on a massive scale. The reason is that on solar farms, the solar panels can follow the direction of the sun, and the technology is there to create storage on a massive scale. Did you know that in Morocco, they now have a solar farm that is 25% the size of Paris? On this solar farm, they push salt via liquid through the solar panels. The salt then heats up and goes to storage tanks that then produce steam, and this is the storage facility. Did you know that there is now talk that Morocco, using undersea cables, will provide solar green energy to the UK? Now for the number 4 item by government policies and big oil companies: wind turbines for countries that have a lot of wind, like the UK. In Scotland, they are going crazy with wind farms. As with solar, wind is cheaper than oil and gas. At night, when the turbines are still running and very little power is needed by homes, they can now use the power generated to produce hydrogen. So splitting the H in HO2 from the O2 or oxygen. This is an expensive exercise, but it's free energy because it's not utilized at night. However, geothermal heating and solar green energy can also be used to produce green hydrogen. This hydrogen can then power airlines and boats. The number 5 item by government policies and big oil companies: hydro. Power via water has been with us for ages. Coming from South Africa, where there are many dams, this too is a no-brainer. Did you know that Norway is now feeding the UK with hydropower? The number 6 item by government policies and big oil companies. The next item governments need to make an announcement about, and that is acted on in 5 years from now, is banning all petrochemically produced plastics. PLA plastic is made from fermented plant starch from corn, sugarcane, and other plants, and is biodegradable. So we can live in a world where all plastic water bottles are biodegradable, and where plastics used in supermarkets do the same trick. It is 100% possible. Yes, it will cost more, but not much more, and the big oil and gas companies can be at the center of this revolution. I call on the UK government to take up this challenge and legislate that 5 years from now, all plastics are green in the UK. The number 7 item by government policies and big oil companies. Again, with this next item, governments need to make an announcement that this will be in force 10 years from now. And this is that all cement and steel plants need to be carbon zero. Yes, steel and cement factories can produce green cement and steel. This will cut our greenhouse gases by about 10%. Surely, this is a no-brainer. And yes, we should not use timber in construction, as plantations and forests soak up CO2. Now on to 12 things that you can do. Some you can do tomorrow, and some need money. But as discussed before, believe in the butterfly effect, and just do it so you can sleep well at night. Number 1. Cut out all meat, dairy, eggs, and pesticide from your diet. Did you know that atmospheric methane produced by cows, chickens, etc. is 80 times more damaging than carbon dioxide during the first 20 years it hangs around in the atmosphere? If all of humanity stopped eating meat, dairy, eggs, and pesticides, we would reduce global warming by at least 15%. This is by far the most important thing you can do tomorrow, but go a step further and go 70% organic as well. I promote a vegan diet in one of my other talks, which is vegan and fish and 70% organic, because we need to cut out pesticides. In this talk, I provide a diet plan that will not cost you more than meat, dairy, eggs, and pesticides diet, because these products cost a small fortune, and if you do it correctly, you can actually save money. Number 2. Join an ethical bank today, plus make sure your pension is invested in a sustainable fund. Ethical banks only invest their money in climate-friendly schemes. I joined Triodos, but there are many. Big banks just cannot invest all their money in ethical schemes. And moving to an ethical bank is highly spiritual, because what banks do with your money has big implications. Make sure your pension is only invested in sustainable funds that cut out the meat, dairy, and egg sectors. Number 3. Buy an electric car if you are in a country where it is possible. Did you know that in the UK, it is the policy that by 2030 there will be no more new petrol or diesel cars allowed? We should have clean cities and not let our kids breathe in toxic gases. This is a no-brainer. Electric car battery life is now at a stage where you can get about 300 km out of a charge. And in the UK, the big oil companies are now starting to build battery charging stations. Yes, it is all happening. Financially, buying an electric car is a complete no-brainer. An electric car currently costs more than a petrol or diesel car, but this will change over time. However, did you know that the average person in the UK with an electric car saves about £2,000 per year on its running expenses, compared to a petrol or diesel car? So if you keep an electric car for say 15 years, it will cost you zero compared to a petrol or diesel car. Just think about it. You can tomorrow in the UK buy an electric car and keep it for 15 years, and it will cost you zero compared to if you kept your dirty petrol or diesel car. Number 4. When you next refurbish your bathroom or build a new house, buy a toilet and bidet all in one. We are using an enormous amount of toilet paper that is destroying our forests, so this again is a no-brainer. Number 5. Only buy Kindle Books and don't buy physical paper books. Every time you buy a paper book, you are responsible for cutting down a small part of a tree. Number 6. Buy food products that are biodegradable. I touched on this before, and now in the UK you can easily buy 70% of your food organic so that your body is not a pesticide pit. Now go one step further and only buy biodegradable products and go 70% organic. One example is tea. TikTok Rooibos tea is organic and has biodegradable bags. There are many more brands too. Number 7. Buy fewer clothes. If you are a fashion junkie, just cut your wardrobe by half over time. So simple. Number 8. Buy an ethical phone. I bought a Fairphone 3 made by a Dutch company that costs less than other big name phones. The phone is made so that in the future, when you need to upgrade, one can easily insert chip cards. So the phone is made to last much longer than normal phones. I don't know of an ethical computer. Why don't you produce one? Number 9. Reduce the power usage of appliances. Instead of setting your washing machine to spin at 1400 RPM, set it at say 800. When you fill the kettle, only fill it up to the water level you need. There must be many more examples. Number 10. Use products made from cork. Did you know that once they remove the bark of a cork tree, that over the next 7 years, the cork tree absorbs twice the amount of CO2? Buy a drinks cup that you can keep for life that has cork insulation. Next time you refurbish your house, use cork for finishes. Number 11. Use Ecosia.org when you surf the web. Check it out. It has a counting clock. Every time you use it, you and others help trees to get planted. Number 12. On your website, at the bottom, implant a web calculator. Go to websitecarbon.com and check how dirty your website is. Make sure your website is at least 50% cleaner than other websites. This is achieved by moving to web hosting companies that use green electricity and reducing the size of photos, etc. on your website. So a double bonus. I invite you to put the above mentioned 12 items you can do on your bucket list and cross them out one by one as you complete them. Our Earth's temperature is currently about 1.22 degrees Celsius above 1880 levels when industrialization started. The UK started industrialization and is now one of the leading countries showing the rest of the world how to rectify the issue. The current aim is to ensure that by 2050 we halt the Earth's temperature at a maximum of 1.5 degrees Celsius compared to 1880 levels, and then start reducing it. Be part of the change, and please do your bit. If not for you, for your kids.